As with every Disney movie, you're going to compare it to the original, and I'm going to do that with this movie. So let's get started. What the Okay, so Disney Mulan 2020 is the remake of the classic animation which was released in 1998. I'd like to think most of us know what the original was about and hence would understand what this movie is going to be about, but for those who don't, it's a Chinese story about a girl who disguises herself as a man to join the military in place of her injured father to fight a war against the Huns that are trying to overthrow the empire. Mulan shows that in a world of very sexist stereotypes, that through perseverance and determination that you can overcome most challenges in front of you. However, this story is a shoddy, half-assed retelling, just looking to make a quick penny off of you on Disney+. This version assumes you've seen the original Mulan. It's left all of the good parts out of the original, lazily thrown together, and it expects your nostalgia to convince you that it's good. I knew going in that there was no Mooshu or there was no songs, but I didn't think it would hurt the story this much. And yes, this is just my opinion. I've spoken to others who think this is better than I do, but I wanted to spend the time just going through the reasons why I think this isn't very good, or at least why it's just not worth that £20 on Disney+. I feel like Disney took the criticism too seriously about people saying Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King was too similar to its predecessors, to the point where this time they're like, okay fine, we'll change it. But not really, because it's going to be exactly the same and just less fun to watch. You can clearly tell which parts of this movie they changed, just so they can be like, see, we did change it like we said we would. But it would be things like, instead of having a grandma give her a flea, which ruins the tea ceremony matchmaking at the beginning, no, this time she's just got a sister who's scared of spiders, and it's a spider that ruins the tea ceremony matchmaking. Just do it the same if you can't think of anything better to do. All these new ways of doing these scenes just remind you how better the old ones were. If the original movie was this classic and beloved car, this one's almost a cheap knockoff with the same outer shell, but all the engine and interior parts are replaced from its classics with cheap plastic, all with made in China slapped to the bottom. Although, ironically, none of this was really made in China. I think that's the problem. Most of this movie doesn't feel like a story, but more of a film festival experiment. The original Mulan felt like a product greater than the sum of its parts, whereas this one feels like you're watching nothing but parts. The film sets just do not look natural whatsoever, purely designed to meet the criteria of getting the story from A to B and keeping up with the original. Mulan's village in the beginning clearly looks like the inside of a theatre, and it just makes you think you're watching a theatre production instead of watching something in the real world. In the original, to get to the matchmaking, she'd have to go out of her house, go past busy roads and avoid horses and everything like that. In this one, she just steps outside her house and turns right, and it's next door. Like, the village is smaller than a football field. It just seems weird. I cannot for whatever reason figure out why they took Mooshu out of this movie. It clearly wasn't to make it less magical and more realistic, because we now instead have this weird transforming witch as a secondary villain in this movie, who I cannot stress enough does absolutely nothing in this film. But you know, glad to see that no Mooshu makes this movie more realistic. Yeah, let's just watch some ninjas run up some walls then. Way more realistic. I've heard some say that Mooshu was taken out of the film because it wasn't in the original legends and they wanted to keep it more akin to the legends, but my argument is that if you're sacrificing the humour from your movie, it's not worth it. But the Bible is the most accurate retelling of the legend of Jesus. Doesn't make that any more fun to read. They replaced Mooshu with this phoenix for, I don't know, it flies in and out of the screen for like 20 seconds total in this movie. All it did was just make me laugh and remind me how bad the CG is in this movie. You'd think with the 6-month delay they'd be able to brush up on the CG a little bit more, but Jet Li is in here as well. Well, most of him. Half of his lines are replaced with this weird ADR that's completely out of sync with his lips. And I don't even know it was his voice they were using in ADR either. I'm going to go into spoiler territory here, but I mean, spoiler alert, the film's crap. I'm saving you time and money right now. Like I said before, the original was set in a time where there was heavy sexist stereotypes. Mulan was able to prove that she could do things better than most men could do, through hard work, determination and perseverance, where the remake completely takes this away from the character. Instead of it being about her working hard to reach her goals, through one of the best training montages, might I add, going from inexperienced to a great fighter, they instead bring this cheese stuff in and make her a magical Mary Sue, who's literally a fighting expert from a small child, and just magically kung fu's her way to victory in every scene. Congratulations, you've just wrecked your female empowerment message. And then this movie thinks it can bring home the whole "it's all about your family" message. And it even messes this one up. The end of the original has Mulan return home with the Emperor's gifts, the sword and the medallion, and it's about the father not caring about these material goods and just being happy that her daughter's alive. It shows that the father's love for a daughter is triumphant over everything else. But they messed up the order in this movie. Instead, Mulan comes home and they have a nice reunion, and then the Emperor brings the goods for the family, and the family's overjoyed that they got these goods from the Emperor. Now, the last taste of the movie isn't about how your family's more important than any material. No, it's more about now, your family's great, but so are these gifts. They wanted to have their cake and eat it, and now it just made the last scene rotten. And they were like the two biggest messages of the original movie, and they somehow messed them both up. And the movie just feels lazy. The finale takes place in this dusty desert place instead of the Imperial Palace like it did in the original. And it's so much worse, but I was thinking that they've gone this different direction because they're trying to change the ending of the movie and make it a little bit different from the original. But after the fighting's finished, the next scene is literally a word-for-word copy of this festival that happens in the evening of the original movie. You've got the dragon walking up the stairs, the fireworks, the palace. Why didn't they just do the finale in that place then, like the original? It's way more visually appealing to look at, and you're not just looking at sand and dust blowing in your face all the time. Could you not be asked to pay more money to have a better set or to brush up your CG better to make it a better finale in the movie? If you want to change the movie but don't have the money or the imagination to do so, then you either shouldn't change the movie or you should just not make the movie. Simple. I know I'm banging on a little bit here, but this is the last one, I promise. There's this scene where the Emperor's advisor comes in and goes, "My lord, we need to speak in private." And then there's like 40 or 50 other people in this room, and they stand up really slowly and start walking out. And they're all still in the room, and the Emperor starts having the conversation with his advisor. Like, not even next to each other whispering, they're literally shouting across the room. How lazy can you be when you can't even be bothered to make the dialogue from your characters coherent with choices in your film? Okay, that's probably enough ranting from me this time. Just don't go watch this movie. It's certainly not worth £20 to Disney Plus, and I wouldn't even recommend paying money to go see this in the big screens. But that is my opinion. Obviously, people will find this to be more enjoyable than I made it out to be. This might be a passable change of pace if you have kids and you're just looking for something new to watch, but there's just a million other things out there that are better, and that are cheaper to watch. But yeah, that's it from me today, guys. Thanks a lot for listening. Sorry about the rant, but I feel like I had to say it. Let me know what you thought of Mulan if you have seen it already. And as always, stay tuned for more videos on movies, animes, and video games. Until next time, guys, take care. Bye-bye.